How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the saltwater section in the Cairns Aquarium. Last video we touched on the saltwater and the brackish, so now we'll just be doing strictly saltwater. First up here we got a cool little crab. Well, not little, he was actually pretty big. Not too sure on the species. But also in here we have a lined rabbitfish, or Siganus lineatus. Very, very cool fish, and just a beautiful one to start us off. Next up here, we have upside down jellyfish. These guys are very cool, and yes, they are jellyfish that live upside down. So they're just gonna just kind of cling to the surface, just on their head there, and then just have their tentacles out and filter feed through that way. Very, very cool. I used to see them all over in Honduras, but don't really see them that much here. I think I've seen one here. Um, Sorry about the glare on the right side in these clips. Yeah, my credit card was just slightly in the way, so just deal with it. They're on all of them. Next up here, we have a blue spotted ribbon-tail ray, or Taeniura lima. If you didn't know, most cartilaginous fish have ampullae of Lorenzini, which are basically sensing organs or electroreceptors that pick up electrical pulses or movement within the water column, and mainly due because they're cartilaginous, so like sharks and other stingrays also have this, and chimeras as well. So very, very cool. All they have is just some electroreceptors to let them know what's going on. It's kind of like a second pair of eyes. Very, very cool. Next up here, we have the biggest lobsters that I have ever seen in my life. And these guys were like easily like 2 times the size of my arm. That's not even including their antenna. So yeah, they were just absolutely massive. Um, there's a there's a rumor going on around that lobsters are immortal. That is simply not true. They all have a lifespan. Well, yes, sometimes they can live for very long. I think up to about like 100 years. But they are not immortal. They will either die from predation. A good amount of animals will eat lobster. Obviously, humans absolutely love it. It's a delicacy. Um, so even if they do get up, past 100 years, they still have a process called molting, or molding, and basically it's where they shed a layer of skin, and it's a very not extensive but physically taxing thing to do that these lobsters have to go through very, very often. So it's just like, with humans, when you get older, you just don't have the energy to do as much as you did when you were younger. So eventually, exhaustion will get to them, and they'll most likely die from that. So yeah, lobster's not immortal, but still very, very cool. Next up here, we have just a cool little tank of 3-striped damselfish. I think they have like a fox face in here and stuff like that too. But 3-striped damselfish, or Dacilus aruanus. Damselfish actually have like a sort of like gardening mentality. So they will actually pick up like pieces of algae, like maybe tiny pieces of coral, and come put it in a little garden, and then they'll protect it. So if you've ever seen little damselfish coming like at me at my camera, then just know that they're pretty territorial. They will like give you a little nip if you get too close, but it's just very funny and very feisty since they're just tiny little guys, but very cool gardening ability. Next up here we have just an absolutely massive tank. This was 2 stories. We were on the top level when I was recording this. Just have a whole bunch of types of fish. I know you see that ribbon tail eel, stingray, sorry. Yeah, just a bunch of cool fish. I love the wall concept of it, with all the outreaching coral that they can just lay on, and cleaners can set up cleaning stations and stuff like that. So very, very cool tank. Next up here, though, we have the orange-spined unicorn fish. We also have some anthias in here, which are those little orange guys. And then also we have pink anemone fish. So yes, there are pink Nemos, believe it or not. Pink anemone fish or Amphiprion periduration. Um, so yeah, very, very cool. I'm surprised they don't have any anemones in here to um, help out the anemones, but I don't know what they got going on with these guys. So next up here we have just some good old classic moon jellies or Aurelia aurita. Unlike the lobster, there is a type of jellyfish that is immortal. It's, believe it or not, called the immortal jellyfish. And yeah, they don't have an expected lifespan. Um, will still probably die due to predation, um, or humans doing something to it. But I know they live down at pretty deep depths. I don't know too much about them, but I know that they exist. So go ahead and give those guys a look. And then next up here, we have a black spotted pufferfish. I've seen a couple of those guys on my dives. I see them very often, actually. But more importantly about this tank is this guy at the bottom right here. This is the Crown of Thorns sea star. So this guy is a pretty big problem, and I'll get to that in a minute. It is the largest sea star in the ocean. They can have up to 21 arms. So when they lose one, some of you may know that they can grow them back. So yeah, they can have up to 21 arms. Can get up to about 80 centimeters. So they can get pretty big and be pretty scary. But unfortunately, one of their big downfalls is the fact that the adults love to chow on hard corals. So they're basically, they have an appetite for stony corals, which are a good amount of the Great Barrier Reef and a big key factor in reefs and stuff like that. They can eat up to about 10 square meters of coral a year, which is just an absolutely abnormal amount, and it doesn't help that females can release over 200 million eggs a year. So really big problem. I haven't seen any in the dives that we've gone on and the reefs that we go to, mainly because I think some of their predators are humphead wrasse, Titan triggers, and I know a giant type of snail will also eat them. So we have a good amount of humphead wrasse and Titan triggers at our reefs that we go to with ProDive. So I haven't seen any crown of thorns in the wild, thankfully. So it's not really that much of a problem in our part of the reef, but I know that they are being a huge pain in other parts, and yeah, absolutely decimating reefs. So other than that, we'll move on from that sadness. But then we have this cutie right here, which is a black blotched porcupine fish, or Deodon literosus. They're very cute. This guy was about, I'd say a little over half a meter, which was very decent size. I'm pretty sure this is the max that they will get to. There's something going on with his mouth. He had a little bit of like fray tissue, and his beak didn't look as sharp, but still very cute and cool. And you may have seen in that other clip right there, but we had a baby leopard shark at the beginning. You'll see a lot more leopard sharks in the next video. But then we also have epaulet sharks in here, or Hemicillium ocellatum. So epaulet sharks are so dang cool. They might be up there with one of my favorite shark species, besides like threshers. So epaulet sharks, they're not going to get much bigger than this. They only get up to like maybe 1.5 meters, but they will keep this sort of pattern on it. You can really identify them by that big black blotch on their sides. They also have the fins that they actually can walk on, and sometimes they'll even go onto land for hunting. So they have this thing called hypoxia, and basically it helps them regulate hotter temperatures, which means that they can go on land for even longer. So there's just a couple cool facts about the epaulet shark. I think they're awesome. I have seen one in the wild here. I was on a night dive with an advanced student, and it swam right below me. I didn't really see it, but then I saw my student circling it with her light, and then sure enough, I saw it, flipped out about it, and then watched it for the next like 3 minutes. So, epaulet sharks are awesome. I can't wait to see if I can try and find one for uh, video recordings, but I'm not able to take my camera out a lot on night dives, if ever, to be honest. So I'll see when I can get a night dive video out for you guys, because it is a treat. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the rest of the saltwater section in the next video.